Hello, I'm Louise Ross, the author of Women Who Walk, how 20 women from 16 countries came to live in Portugal, and the sequel or companionry, The Winding Road to Portugal. 20 men from 11 countries share their stories. And these two books are a collection of mini memoirs of 20 women and 20 men who found their way from very diverse cultural backgrounds, moving country to country, sometimes independently, sometimes with partner and or family, en route to a life in Portugal, though for some it was not their final destination. And today I've asked one of the interviewees from The Winding Road, Mark Fijen. Did I get that right, Mark?
Yes, you did very well, very well.
Okay, great. To talk a little about his journey, reading an excerpt from his story. And Mark is originally from the Netherlands, from the southeast corner bordering Germany. And we met because I know his wife, Anouk. And it was in conversation with Anouk that I learned about their travels and work in Indonesia for Voluntary Services Abroad. And then Brazil, where they work for a community project which they founded. So welcome, Mark, and thank you for being available to talk with me. How are you doing today?
Yes, I'm very fine. Thank you very much.
You're in Lisbon?
Yes, I'm in Lisbon, yes.
Working from home?
Excuse me?
Working from home?
Yeah, I'm working from home. Like everybody has his home office now home. So I'm behind a big table with all my paperwork and I'm doing my work from home. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And you're going to read the excerpt for us and then we'll talk a bit about it. I've got a couple of questions for you that relate to that excerpt.
Absolutely. Okay, I will do that.
Are you ready? I'm handing it over to you.
Okay. When my wife Anouk and I were relocated to the island of Flores, which is near East Timor, and also near to the part of Australia, we were both 37 years old. Currently, I'm 49 and Anouk is 47. We lived in the middle of nowhere, and it would take roughly 4 hours on a motorbike to get to the nearest airport. Monkeys dotted the island's roads, and to us that was very exciting and also very different in comparison to the Netherlands. The population of the town where we lived in was approximately 30,000 people, and we were the only foreigners. So it was really in the middle of nowhere, and we were the only, let's say, two non-Asian people in town. And what was really nice that we truly enjoyed life in a different experience. So there was no TV, there was no radio, and also imagine 12 years ago, internet was also not so wide available. So there was only email, and that was about it. But about twice a week, so there was also kind of special. So twice a week there was no power. The generator would run out of diesel fuel, and on those days, then you also, when you would like to go to the restaurant, you need to use a torch, and so be very careful for the holes in the road, because there were many of those. Yeah, so it was kind of very calm, but it's also good for us. And in Indonesian standards, in the house we lived quite comfortable. It was a nice house. And we also could see how were people living in less circumstances compared to what we live in the Netherlands. Because in the Netherlands we live in really, like everybody knows, everybody lives in the very good circumstances, and everything is super well organized. And also, but still, the people in Indonesia, they were still happy. Also with less money, it was also possible to be happy. And I soon realized that I also didn't need so many things around me to be happy. Huh? So you don't need so many things, equipment, things to be really, really happy. Sometimes it's easier to be more calm if you don't have to worry about all those material things. And at the end of the first year, I was offered a second year. And at the end of that year, my contract with VSO, Voluntary Service Overseas, ended. And it was great for 2 years. But then we felt very comfortable with the work, but we also wanted more, let's say, more urban experience because it was really in the middle of nowhere. And we were transferred to Sulawesi. It's a bigger island further north. It's and in the city of Makassar, I was working as a management advisor in an organization for the blind. So first in Indonesia, and that small island was related to healthcare, and this was working with people with a disability. And Sulawesi is mainly Muslim and very Ramadan observed, and the culture is very masculine, and women are treated very differently, and that's kind of completely different than it is currently in the Netherlands, because everybody in the Netherlands is equal. Every man and women are equal, and that's not the case in that area. But the city was very interesting. Was a big city, 2 million people. Was near the coast, and there were more things to do. But you always, as a European, you are never in the community, and especially as a person from the Netherlands, there's always this link from the past that the Netherlands with Indonesia, that you have this colonial thing. So it was not always very positive. So you're always, let's say, not part of the community. And then, yeah, after 3 years in Indonesia, we were wondering, okay, what's next? So we enjoyed that life. We could do something with our skills for other people, and we loved that work. And then we decided, okay, we can also do that with an own entity. And we started our own foundation. And in 2012, we started our own foundation of NGO, better, that's the right word for it. It's called Solidaridad. And that's Portuguese for solidarity. And Anouk had many contacts with Franciscan sisters in the Netherlands, where she worked for, and through that we got a connection with the Franciscan sisters in Brazil. And there we went next, and we did the fundraising ourselves, we did the organization by ourselves, and we paid ourselves a local salary. And with that NGO, we did educational services and projects in a youth center near Porto Alegre in the south of Brazil. And the town is called Alvorada, 200,000 people living in that town. And there it was more about poverty. And the kids went either to school in the morning or in the afternoon, because there are not so many schools available. So they had to split it up. And then the other day of the part of the day, the kids could go to our social center, and then they got extra education, so extra home classes, sporting activities. They get an extra meal, and we could support the kids also from our NGO. And those kids which were coming were there from 6 years until 15, 16. And yeah, Brazil was also very nice. And Brazil, you are a bit more integrated into the community, because you are also, let's say, your looks are more one of them. So yeah, 80% of the population is white. So you are that topic was kind of solved. And because we also worked very locally, there were also not so many possibilities for speaking English. So in that sense, I also learned Portuguese. But then the Portuguese with the Brazilian accent, which obviously I still have. I'm trying to hide it a bit. And yeah, we did our foundation until our NGO until the end of 2018. And we could transfer all the activities to the local community, and yeah, our work was done. And then the next step, the question was again, what are we going to do now? We speak Portuguese, and yeah, and that's how we arrived in Portugal.
It is. Thank you. Thanks for
Yeah.
reading that. And I love the way that every now and then you gave a little bit of additional information to the story for listeners. It gives them a broad understanding of your journey. Mm-hmm. And you know, one of the questions, of course, that quickly arose for me when I heard about your immersion experience in Indonesia is that it was, so different from your life in the Netherlands. I wondered if, as a result of that experience, you then felt comfortable leaving your life behind in the Netherlands to continue this journey of working abroad.
Yeah, it's the decision to come to the point of leaving the Netherlands and going to do that work. That was also because we felt that we were, let's say, we were fine with our job, but it was, let's say, a kind of demanding, obviously, all the time, and it was kind of also stressful, and we were very well educated, and so that would be nice to change that, to do something different with your experience and with your education, and use that not, let's say, for business or for work and lands, but also to develop other people and other community. The hardest part was, and also you should imagine that it was about 12 years ago, that it was we were going to Indonesia, to the middle of nowhere. It took 3 flights to get to the island, and then 4 hours by bus to come. So it was also not easy to see your family and see your parents and see your brothers and sisters. So that was kind of very difficult and very emotional. But luckily, Indonesia is very high on the visitors agenda of the Netherlands, so we also had quite some visitors. So that was the other side also very nice.
Yeah, I understand. So what I do know, which you alluded to then, is that you and Anouk had very busy, successful careers in the Netherlands. And it sounds like what you're saying is that you felt that there was something more that you both wanted to do, and that with your skills, you felt that you could offer those up in a less privileged community to support the growth of those communities. So then is that, again, what ultimately took you to Brazil?
Yeah, that's look. So that's one part, and also besides the part of meaning something for other people and using your skills for other, that's obviously also interesting to see other countries, to meet other people, to learn other language, and obviously also it's also nice if there's some sun involved in those countries, and but Brazil is more open, and it's more yeah, let's say outgoing, and Asia tends to be a bit closed. So yeah, it was also having the opportunity. So we had the opportunity to go to Brazil, and Brazil was absolutely, in that era, it was also a country with millions of possibilities. It was one of the BRIC countries. Which had also a lot of future, and just, let's say, we left Brazil about 2.5 years ago. At the end, it was also not, yeah, let's say, the most preferred country to live anymore, because of the security situation. Yeah, and also because of the opportunity came by. Look, if the opportunity would be in another country, maybe we would arrive in another country.
Yeah, and it sounds like because you're able to, or because again of your immersion experience in Brazilian culture and language, that kind of opened up the road for you to then come to Portugal and settle here. And now, having been here for 2.5 years, do you feel settled here?
Yeah, absolutely. We feel absolutely settled here. What is very positive about Portugal, it is part of the European Union. So for working, it's easier. In Indonesia, you always need to have a working permit, and also in Brazil has a working permit, and it takes a long while. We are very much more nearer to our family. So it's a 2.5-hour flight, and it has a very nice climate. So absolutely, I feel very, very welcome in the country. And so far it also has been very positive. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks so much, Mark. That really does explain the trajectory of your journey and then how you wound up here. Very interesting. So if listeners are interested to read more about Mark's and Anouk's journey, The Winding Road to Portugal, 20 men from 11 countries share their story. Thanks so much, Mark, and great to talk with you.